The morning sun rose over the Sahara Desert like any other day. The endless sand dunes stretched across the horizon, quiet and empty. Then the sky tore open. A massive ship broke through the clouds, trailing fire and smoke. It was bigger than any airplane humans had ever built. The metal hull was silver and black, covered with strange symbols that seemed to move in the light. The ship spun wildly as it fell, crashing into the desert with a sound like thunder. Sand exploded into the air, creating a dust cloud that could be seen for miles. When the dust settled, a deep crater marked the spot where the alien vessel had landed. The ship was broken, its hull cracked open like an egg. Steam rose from the wreckage and strange purple light flickered from inside. Dr. Sarah Chen was eating breakfast in Cairo when her phone rang. She was a scientist who studied ancient things. But today would change everything she thought she knew about the past and future. "Sarah, you need to get here now," her colleague Dr. James Wright said on the phone. His voice was shaking. "Something has crashed in the desert. Something that's not from Earth." Within hours, trucks filled with scientists, soldiers, and government officials raced across the sand toward the crash site. Sarah sat in the lead vehicle, her heart pounding with excitement and fear. She had spent her life digging up old human settlements. Now she might be the first person to study something truly alien. The crash site was bigger than anyone had imagined. The ship was nearly 2 miles long, shaped like a curved blade. Its surface was smooth in some places and covered with complex patterns in others. Parts of the hull had melted from the heat of entering Earth's atmosphere. "Stay back," Colonel Martinez warned the scientists. "We don't know if it's dangerous." But Sarah could already see that whatever had built this ship was dying. Through the cracks in the hull, she glimpsed movement inside. Something was still alive in there. The first alien they found was barely breathing. It was tall and thin, with pale blue skin and large dark eyes. Its body was covered in what looked like living metal that moved and shifted like liquid. The creature was trapped under a fallen beam, purple blood pooling around its body. Dr. Chen knelt beside the alien, not caring about the danger. The creature's eyes focused on her face. Its mouth moved, and sounds came out that were almost like words. "Help. You." The alien whispered in broken English. "Danger. Great danger." "We're trying to help," Sarah said softly. "What happened to your ship?" The alien's hand reached out and grabbed her wrist. Its grip was surprisingly strong. "Not ship. Weapon. We carry reality weavers, the great unmaking." The creature coughed and more purple blood came up. Should not be here." "I don't understand," Sarah said. "What are reality weavers?" But the alien's eyes were already growing dim. With its last breath, it whispered, "Stop them. Stop us. Before the universe breaks." Sarah felt the alien's hand go limp. She sat back, her mind racing. What had this creature been trying to tell her? Over the next few days, the crash site became the most important place on Earth. Scientists from every country came to study the wreckage. The ship's technology was far beyond anything humans had ever seen. The metal healed itself. When it was cut, the computers worked without any power source anyone could identify. And deep inside the ship, they found rooms full of strange devices. The most interesting discovery was in what looked like a medical bay. Dozens of helmet-like devices sat on tables connected to machines by cables that seemed to be made of light itself. Each helmet was designed to fit over a head with thin wires that would touch the brain. Dr. Chen studied the helmets carefully. They were clearly meant to be worn, but by what? The aliens they had found were all dead now, 12 of them total. Each one had tried to say something before dying, warning about danger and speaking of things that made no sense. "These look like neural interfaces," said Dr. Lisa Park, a brain scientist who had joined the team. "I think they're meant to connect directly to the nervous system." "Connect for what purpose?" Sarah asked. "I don't know, but look at these readings." Lisa pointed to a screen showing brain scans of the dead aliens. "Their brain structure is completely different from ours. These devices seem to have changed them somehow." Sarah picked up one of the helmets. It was surprisingly light, and when she touched it, the surface seemed to warm under her fingers. For a moment, she could swear she heard whispers in her mind, voices speaking in a language she didn't understand. "We need to be very careful," she said, setting the helmet down. "The aliens kept warning us about something. They said this technology was dangerous." But even as she spoke, Sarah knew that humanity would not be able to resist trying the alien devices. The helmets called to them somehow, promising knowledge and power beyond imagination. Colonel Martinez established a secure perimeter around the crash site. No information was allowed to leave without government approval. The world knew that something had crashed in the desert, but they didn't know what humanity had really found. Late at night, when most of the team was sleeping, Sarah would walk through the alien ship alone. The corridors were lit by a soft purple glow that came from the walls themselves. She found rooms filled with star charts showing systems she had never seen. She discovered what looked like weapons that could destroy planets, and everywhere, she found more of the neural interface helmets. The ship's computer systems were slowly being decoded by teams of experts. What they found made no sense at first. The aliens called themselves the Vethkari, and they had built an empire across dozens of star systems. But according to their records, they had been fleeing from something when they crashed on Earth. The ship's log told a story of war. The Vethkari had been fighting another alien race called the Builders. But the war was not about territory or resources. It was about the technology the ship carried. The neural interfaces were not Vethkari inventions. They had stolen them from a race called the Architects, beings who had vanished long ago. The other aliens were trying to stop them from bringing this technology anywhere, Sarah realized, as she read the translated logs. They were willing to die to prevent it from spreading, but it was too late for such concerns. The helmets were already being studied in laboratories around the world. Soon, someone would be brave enough or foolish enough to put one on, and when they did, humanity would take its first step toward becoming something far beyond what they had ever imagined. Sarah stood in the alien ship's command center, looking at the star charts on the walls. Earth was marked with a symbol she didn't recognize. When she touched it, new information appeared. Coordinates, star maps, and a single word that made her blood run cold: ready. The aliens had not crashed on Earth by accident. They had come here on purpose, but whether that purpose was to help humanity or to doom them, Sarah could not yet tell. 6 months had passed since the crash in the Sahara Desert. The alien ship had been moved piece by piece to a secret facility hidden deep underground in Nevada. Governments around the world had agreed to work together on the most important discovery in human history. They called it Project Gateway. Dr. Sarah Chen walked through the sterile corridors of the facility, her footsteps echoing on the metal floors. Everything had changed since that first day in the desert. The alien technology was beyond anything they had imagined. The helmets, which the team now called neural interfaces, had been studied by the best scientists on Earth, but studying them and using them were two very different things. "Are you sure about this?" Dr. Lisa Park asked as they entered the testing chamber. "We still don't fully understand how these devices work." Sarah nodded toward the observation window. Below them, a man sat in a chair, his hands steady despite what he was about to do. Marcus Rodriguez had volunteered to be the first test subject. He was a former soldier who had served in special forces. If anyone could handle the unknown effects of alien technology, it would be him. Marcus was not afraid. He had faced death many times in combat. But this was different. This was stepping into the unknown, not just for himself, but for all of humanity. "The brain scans show no immediate danger," Dr. Park said, though her voice was worried. "The helmet seems to connect to the same neural pathways that the aliens used. But human brains are different. We don't know what will happen." Marcus looked up at the observation window and gave a thumbs up. He had read all the reports. He knew that the dying aliens had warned about danger, but he also knew that humanity had always moved forward by taking risks. "Beginning test sequence," announced Dr. Chen over the intercom. "Marcus, remember that you can stop at any time. Just say the word and we'll remove the helmet." Marcus picked up the neural interface. It was beautiful in an alien way, made of a material that seemed to shift between metal and crystal. When he held it, he could feel a slight vibration, as if the device was alive and waiting. He placed the helmet on his head. At first, nothing happened. The device felt cool against his skin. Then slowly, thin wires emerged from inside the helmet and touched his temples. Marcus felt a tiny pinch as they made contact. "How do you feel?" Dr. Chen asked. "Fine," Marcus replied. "It's just sitting there. I don't feel any different." But that was about to change. The helmet began to glow with a soft purple light. The wires grew warmer against Marcus's skin. And then, suddenly, his mind exploded with new sensations. Marcus could see things he had never seen before. The air around him was filled with streams of energy that moved and danced. He could see the electrical currents running through the walls of the facility. He could sense the thoughts and emotions of everyone in the observation room above him. "Marcus?" Dr. Chen's voice seemed to come from very far away. "Marcus, can you hear me?" "I can hear you," Marcus said, but his voice sounded strange, deeper somehow. "I can hear everything. I can see." He paused, trying to find words for what he was experiencing. "I can see the space between atoms. I can see how everything connects." The readings on the monitoring equipment went wild. Marcus's brain activity had increased by 300%. His body temperature was rising, but he showed no signs of distress. "The quantum field readings are off the charts," one technician reported. "He's somehow affecting the fabric of space-time around him." Marcus stood up from the chair. As he moved, small ripples appeared in the air around him, like heat waves rising from hot pavement. He looked at his hands and saw energy flowing through them like rivers of light. "Marcus, we're going to remove the helmet now," Dr. Chen said, her voice urgent with concern. "No," Marcus replied calmly. "It's not hurting me. It's showing me things. Amazing things." He looked up at the observation window, and for a moment his eyes glowed with the same purple light as the helmet. "I understand now why the aliens were afraid. This technology doesn't just enhance you, it changes you into something new." Marcus held out his hand toward a metal table across the room. Without touching it, he began to bend the table's legs, twisting them into complex shapes. The metal moved like soft clay in his invisible grip. "How are you doing that?" Dr. Park asked in amazement. "I'm not sure," Marcus admitted. "I can feel the quantum fields that hold everything together. I can reach out and adjust them. It's like learning to use a muscle I never knew I had." The test was supposed to last only 10 minutes. It went on for 3 hours. Marcus explored his new abilities, learning to manipulate matter in ways that broke every law of physics the scientists thought they knew. He could create small gravity fields that made objects float. He could heat metal with his thoughts. He could even slow down time in a small area around himself. When they finally convinced him to remove the helmet, Marcus collapsed. For a moment, the scientists feared they had lost him, but he was only unconscious, not dead. When he woke up an hour later, some of his new abilities remained. "I can still see the energy patterns," he told them. "Not as clearly as before, but they're there. And I can still manipulate small objects with my mind." He picked up a pencil without touching it, making it dance through the air. Dr. Chen realized that the neural interface had permanently changed Marcus's brain. The alien technology didn't just give temporary abilities. It evolved the user into something beyond normal human limits. Word of the successful test spread quickly through the facility. Soon there was a list of volunteers waiting to try the neural interfaces. Scientists wanted to understand the technology better. Military officers saw the potential for creating super soldiers. Medical researchers hoped to use the interfaces to cure diseases and disabilities. But Sarah was worried. She remembered the warnings of the dying aliens. They had spoken of reality weavers and the great unmaking. What if the technology was too dangerous for humanity to handle? Her concerns grew when Marcus began experiencing side effects no one had predicted. He started having dreams that weren't dreams. He saw visions of distant stars and alien worlds. He could sense other minds, across great distances. And sometimes, late at night, he spoke to someone who wasn't there. There are others, Marcus told Sarah one evening as they walked through the facility. Other beings who have used this technology. I can feel them out there in the darkness between stars. They're watching us. Watching us do what? Sarah asked. Marcus stopped walking and turned to look at her. His eyes held depths that hadn't been there before the test. Become what we're meant to become. The aliens who built this technology, the architects, they didn't disappear. They transcended. They became something beyond physical form. And they left these interfaces behind as a test. A test for what? To see which species are ready to join them. To see who can handle the responsibility of unlimited power. Marcus smiled, but there was something unsettling about the expression. I think humanity might pass the test, but I'm not sure that's a good thing. Over the following weeks, 12 more volunteers used the neural interfaces. Each one was changed in different ways. Dr. Jennifer Walsh, a physicist, gained the ability to see and manipulate subatomic particles. Captain Tom Bradley, a pilot, could create small wormholes that allowed him to step instantly from one place to another. Dr. Amanda Foster, a biologist, learned to control living tissue at the cellular level, healing injuries with a touch. But the most significant change was that the enhanced humans could share their consciousness with each other. When they concentrated, they could merge their minds into a collective intelligence that was far greater than any individual human mind. Sarah watched this development with growing alarm. The enhanced humans were becoming something new, something that might no longer be human at all. They spoke of concepts that normal people couldn't understand. They made plans that spanned decades and involved technologies that didn't exist yet. We need to slow this down, she told Colonel Martinez during a private meeting. We're changing too fast. We don't understand the consequences. But it was already too late. The enhanced humans had made contact with the alien ship's computers in ways no one had thought possible. They were learning secrets that the Vethkari themselves had never fully understood. And deep in space, other intelligences had noticed what was happening on Earth. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe. And soon they would discover that the galaxy was not ready for what they were becoming. The enhanced humans no longer needed to sleep. Marcus Rodriguez stood in the facility's main laboratory at 3 a.m. His consciousness expanded far beyond the walls around him. He could feel the minds of his fellow enhanced humans, scattered across the globe. Dr. Jennifer Walsh was in Tokyo analyzing quantum structures in a particle accelerator. Captain Tom Bradley was in London, learning to create stable wormholes large enough for spacecraft. They were all connected now, part of something larger than individual human consciousness. Dr. Sarah Chen found Marcus there when she arrived, early for work. She had been having trouble sleeping since the enhancements began. The enhanced humans made her nervous in ways she couldn't explain. They looked the same, but something fundamental had changed about them. Good morning, Sarah, Marcus said without turning around. He was staring at a holographic display that showed star maps from the alien ship. I've been talking with our friends across the galaxy. Sarah's blood ran cold. What friends? Marcus finally turned to face her. His eyes held a depth of knowledge that was unsettling. The Vethkari weren't the only ones out there. There are hundreds of alien civilizations scattered across this galaxy, and they're all very interested in what's happening on Earth. He gestured to the holographic display. Points of light appeared, showing the locations of different alien species. The Zephyrians control 12 star systems near the galactic core. The hegemony rules over 43 worlds in the outer rim. The collective has spread across nearly 100 systems. Marcus paused. And they're all afraid of us. Afraid of us? Sarah asked. Why would advanced alien civilizations be afraid of humans? Because they know what this technology can do, Marcus replied. The neural interfaces weren't just made by the architects. They were the architects. The technology doesn't just enhance intelligence or give special abilities. transforms any species that uses it into something that can reshape reality itself. Sarah sat down heavily in a nearby chair. The dying aliens' warnings, reality weavers, the great unmaking. The Vethkari stole this technology from an ancient ruin, Marcus continued. They thought they could control it, use it to build a greater empire. But the technology began changing them in ways they hadn't expected. Other alien races formed a coalition to stop them before they could become too powerful. That's why their ship was damaged when it crashed here. And now we have the technology, Sarah said quietly. Marcus nodded. And we're changing much faster than the Vethkari ever did. Human brains are more adaptable than theirs were. We're evolving at an incredible rate. He touched the side of his head where the neural interface had first made contact. In just 6 months, we've progressed further than the Vethkari did in decades. The holographic display changed, showing images of different alien species. Sarah saw creatures that looked like walking crystals, beings made of living metal, and things that had no physical form at all. They've been watching Earth for centuries, Marcus explained, waiting to see if humanity would develop space travel or if we would destroy ourselves first. But they never expected this. They never expected us to find architect technology so early in our development. What do they want? Sarah asked. Before Marcus could answer, alarms began blaring throughout. The facility. Colonel Martinez's voice came over the intercom system. All personnel to emergency stations. We have incoming craft of unknown origin. Sarah and Marcus rushed to the command center, where dozens of screens showed radar and satellite feeds from around the world. Spacecraft were appearing in Earth's atmosphere, not just one or two, but hundreds. They came in all shapes and sizes, from sleek silver ships to massive crystalline vessels that sparkled like diamonds in the sunlight. They're not attacking, reported a technician monitoring the alien ships. They're just waiting. Then, as one, all the alien spacecraft began broadcasting the same message. It came in hundreds of different languages, but the meaning was clear in all of them. People of Earth, we are the Galactic Council. We come in peace but with urgent purpose. Your species has acquired technology that threatens the balance of the universe. We request immediate communication with your leaders to discuss terms of containment. Dr. Chen felt her heart sink. Containment. The aliens wanted to put humanity back in a box to prevent them from becoming something greater. Marcus smiled grimly. They're too late. We're already beyond containment. He closed his eyes and reached out with his enhanced mind. Across the globe, every other enhanced human felt his call and responded. What happened next was unlike anything in human history. The enhanced humans linked their consciousness together, creating a collective intelligence that spanned the entire planet. Through this link, they could share knowledge instantly and coordinate actions across vast distances. Dr. Jennifer Walsh, working in Tokyo, suddenly understood quantum mechanics at a level that allowed her to manipulate matter at the subatomic level. She reached out with her mind and began rebuilding the molecular structure of the laboratory around her, turning ordinary materials into substances that could withstand the pressure at the center of a star. Captain Tom Bradley in London felt the collective knowledge flow through him. He learned to fold space-time itself, creating stable wormholes that could connect any 2 points in the universe. Within minutes, he had established instantaneous travel routes between major cities on Earth. Dr. Amanda Foster used her biological expertise to enhance the human genome in real time. She sent new genetic information through the collective consciousness, allowing every enhanced human to adapt their bodies for survival in space, underwater, or in any environment they might encounter. The alien ships hovering over Earth detected these changes immediately. Their sensors registered energy readings that should have been impossible for a primitive species like humanity. Impossible, transmitted the lead Zephyrian commander to the other council ships. They're manipulating quantum fields on a planetary scale. No species develops this quickly. The largest of the alien vessels, a massive ship belonging to the hegemony, moved closer to Earth's surface. Its commander, a being called the High Arbiter, broadcast a new message. Humans of Earth, you do not understand the power you are wielding. The technology you have found has destroyed countless civilizations. We offer you one final chance. Surrender the architect devices and accept guidance from the Galactic Council. Refuse, and we will be forced to neutralize the threat you pose to all life in this galaxy. The message was broadcast to every government on Earth. World leaders panicked, not knowing how to respond to an ultimatum from advanced alien civilizations. But the enhanced humans were not waiting for politicians to make decisions that would affect the future of their species. Dr. Sarah Chen watched in amazement as Marcus and the other enhanced humans worked together to prepare humanity's response. They were no longer individual people, but part of something larger, a collective intelligence that could think and act on a scale that normal humans couldn't comprehend. "What are you going to do?" she asked Marcus. He opened his eyes and looked at her with an expression that was both human and something far beyond human. "We're going to show them that humanity will not be caged. We're going to demonstrate exactly what we've become." The enhanced humans reached out with their collective consciousness, extending their influence beyond Earth's atmosphere. They touched the minds of every alien aboard the Council ships, not to control them but to communicate directly, mind to mind. For the first time in galactic history, an entire species spoke with one voice. "We are humanity. We have awakened. We will not be contained or controlled. We offer friendship to those who accept us as equals, but we will defend ourselves against any who seek to harm us or limit our growth. Choose wisely." The alien commanders had never experienced anything like this. Direct mental contact from an entire species was something that only the legendary architects had been capable of. The realization hit them like a physical blow. Humanity had not just found architect technology. They had successfully integrated it and were becoming the first new architect species in millions of years. High Arbiter Zenth of the Hegemony transmitted an emergency signal to fleet commanders throughout the galaxy. "All ships to Earth immediately. The humans have achieved full integration. They are no longer a containment scenario. They are a potential extinction event." But humanity was ready for whatever came next. The enhanced humans had spent their 6 months of development preparing for this moment. They had built weapons that could disassemble matter at the atomic level. They had created shields that could deflect energy from an entire star. They had learned to manipulate time itself. The age of humanity as a minor species on a small planet was over. What came next would determine whether they became the galaxy's greatest protectors or its ultimate destroyers. Sarah Chen stood in the command center, watching the alien ships hover over Earth like storm clouds gathering before a hurricane. She thought about the warnings of the dying Vethkari aliens 6 months ago. They had tried to prevent this moment, knowing what humanity might become. Now she was about to find out if their fears had been justified. The Galactic Council fleet filled Earth's sky like an angry swarm. Ships from 47 different alien civilizations hung in orbit, their weapons charged and ready. The largest vessel belonged to the Hegemony, a warship the size of Manhattan that could destroy entire planets. Smaller craft darted between the capital ships like deadly insects, their sensors scanning Earth for signs of weakness. High Arbiter Zenth stood on the bridge of his flagship, staring down at the small blue world that had become the galaxy's greatest threat. Around him, his officers worked frantically at control panels that hummed with deadly energy. "All fleet, commanders report ready," announced his tactical officer. "We have enough firepower to crack this planet like an egg." Zenth nodded grimly. He had hoped it wouldn't come to this. The destruction of an entire world was always regrettable. But the humans had left them no choice. They had refused the Council's generous offer of guidance and containment. Now they would face the consequences. "Transmit final warning," Zenth ordered. "Tell them they have 1 hour to surrender all architect technology. After that, we will begin bombardment." But even as the message was sent, something was happening on Earth that the alien commanders couldn't detect with their instruments. In the hidden facility beneath Nevada, the enhanced humans were gathering their collective power for something unprecedented in galactic history. Marcus Rodriguez stood at the center of the main laboratory. His consciousness expanded to encompass all of his enhanced brothers and sisters around the world. Through their shared mental link, he could feel Dr. Jennifer Walsh in Tokyo, Captain Tom Bradley in London, Dr. Amanda Foster in Berlin, and dozens of others. They were no longer separate individuals, but parts of a single vast intelligence. Dr. Sarah Chen watched from the observation deck as the enhanced humans began their response to the alien ultimatum. She could see energy patterns dancing around Marcus's body like aurora in a bottle. The air itself seemed to bend and twist around the enhanced humans as they prepared to demonstrate exactly what humanity had become. "Sarah," Marcus said without opening his eyes, "you might want to step back. What we're about to do has never been attempted before." "What are you going to do?" she asked, though part of her wasn't sure she wanted to know. Marcus smiled, and for a moment he looked like the soldier she had first met 6 months ago. "We're going to show them that violence is no longer necessary. We're going to give them a demonstration of real power." The enhanced humans reached out with their collective consciousness, extending their influence beyond Earth's atmosphere and into space itself. They could sense every ship in the alien fleet, every weapon system, every life support unit. The quantum fields that held matter together were as visible to them as roads on a map. What happened next took exactly 4 minutes and 17 seconds. Every weapon aboard every alien ship simply stopped working, not broken, not destroyed, but fundamentally altered at the atomic level. Laser cannons became harmless light projectors. Plasma weapons turned into devices that could only produce pretty colors. Missile warheads were transformed into blocks of stable, harmless matter. The alien crews panicked as their instruments went wild. Systems that had worked perfectly for centuries suddenly displayed error messages in languages that didn't exist. Weapons that could destroy moons couldn't even scratch paint. "Impossible," whispered the Zephyrian fleet commander as his sensors showed impossible readings. "They've altered the quantum structure of our weapons from a distance of thousands of kilometers." But the humans weren't finished. Next, they reached into the life support systems of every alien ship. Not to harm the crews, but to improve their air quality, optimize their food production, and repair systems that had been damaged in battles throughout their careers. Alien engineers watched in amazement as machines that had been broken for years suddenly worked better than when they were first built. High Arbiter Zenth stared at his tactical displays in disbelief. His ship's weapons were offline, but everything else was working better than it ever had. The air tasted cleaner. The artificial gravity felt more natural. Even the lighting seemed warmer and more pleasant. "Sir," his communications officer reported, "we're receiving a transmission from Earth. It's coming from all of them at once." The voice that spoke was Marcus Rodriguez, but it carried the weight and wisdom of all enhanced humanity behind it. "People of the galaxy, we greet you in peace. You came here expecting to fight a war against a primitive species. Instead, you have encountered something new. We are not your enemies unless you choose to make us so. We are the next step in evolution, the first species in millions of years to successfully integrate architect technology." Zenth activated his ship's communication system. "Humans, you have made a grave error. By disabling our weapons, you have committed an act of war against 47 civilizations. Surrender now, and we may show mercy." The human response came, with gentle laughter. "High Arbiter Zenth, look around you. We have not harmed a single member of your crews. We have improved your ships and made your long journey more comfortable. If we wanted to destroy you, we could have turned every atom in your fleet into pure energy. Instead, we offer you a gift." As if to prove their point, the humans reached out again. This time, they touched the minds of every alien in the fleet, not to control them but to show them something incredible. For just a moment, each alien consciousness was expanded beyond its normal limits. They could see the universe as the enhanced humans saw it, full of connections and possibilities they had never imagined. Zephyrian commanders experienced the sensation of swimming through quantum fields. Hegemony officers felt what it was like to manipulate time itself. Collective drones suddenly understood what individual consciousness meant. For that brief moment, every alien in the fleet understood what the humans had become. The experience left them speechless. This is what awaits any species ready to take the next step. The human collective explained. We do not seek to rule. or conquer. We seek to help others reach their full potential, but we will not allow ourselves to be destroyed out of fear. Captain Vexhai of the Collective Fleet was the first to respond. Her species were natural telepaths, and the mental contact with humanity had affected her more deeply than the others. "High Arbiter," she transmitted to Zenth. "These humans, they're not a threat. They're what the architects were trying to create, their evolution itself." But Zenth was not convinced. His species, the hegemony, had ruled through strength for thousands of years. The idea that a young species could surpass them was unacceptable. "All ships prepare for ramming speed," he ordered. "If we can't destroy them with weapons, we'll crash our ships into their planet." The order was barely transmitted before the humans responded again. This time, they didn't just disable the alien ships. They moved them. Every vessel in the Galactic Council fleet found itself instantly transported to the edge of the solar system, far from Earth. The journey that should have taken hours happened in the blink of an eye. The ships were undamaged, their crews unharmed, but they were no longer in position to threaten Earth. "This is our final demonstration," the human collective announced. "We could have scattered your ships across the galaxy. We could have sent you back to your homeworlds. We could have erased you from existence itself. Instead, we have moved you to a safe distance and given you time to reconsider your position." Dr. Sarah Chen watched the displays showing the alien fleet's new position and felt a mix of amazement and terror. The enhanced humans had just moved hundreds of massive spacecraft across billions of kilometers in an instant. The amount of energy required for such a feat was beyond calculation. "We offer the galaxy a choice," Marcus continued, his voice carrying across space to reach every alien ship. "Work with us to build a better universe, or stay out of our way while we do it ourselves. But do not try to contain us or control us. That time has passed." The alien fleet commanders held emergency conferences. Some, like Captain Vexhai, argued for accepting the humans as allies. Others, like High Arbiter Zenth, insisted that such power could not be allowed to exist unchecked. But the decision was made for them when long-range sensors detected something approaching from the galactic core. A massive fleet of unknown ships was moving toward Earth at incredible speed. The vessels were unlike anything in the Council's databases, built with technology that defied conventional physics. "Sir," Zenth's sensor officer reported, "we're detecting over 3,000 ships approaching the system. Their configuration matches no known species." The human collective sensed the approaching fleet as well. Through their expanded consciousness, they could feel the minds aboard those ships, cold, calculating intelligences that viewed organic life as something to be studied and catalogued. "The Purifiers," Marcus whispered, and every enhanced human felt a chill of recognition. The name came from the deepest files in the Architect database aboard the crashed Vethkari ship. The Purifiers were an ancient machine intelligence that had been dormant for millions of years. They had awakened when they detected the quantum signatures of active Architect technology. Their purpose was, the Purifier fleet arrived like a plague of metal locusts, 3,000 ships emerging from faster-than-light travel at the edge of the solar system. Each vessel was a perfect sphere of dark matter, smooth and featureless except for the reality warping, weapons that bristled from their surfaces. They had been sleeping in the void between galaxies for millions of years, waiting for the quantum signature that would signal the return of Architect technology. Now they were awake and they were hungry. Dr. Sarah Chen stood in the command center of the underground facility, watching the sensor displays with growing horror. The Purifier ships were larger than anything humanity had ever imagined, some of them the size of small moons. But their size was not what frightened her. It was their purpose, written in ancient data files that the enhanced humans had decoded from the Architect archives. The Purifiers were not just weapons. They were the universe's immune system, designed by the Architects themselves as a failsafe. If any species achieved Architect-level power without earning it through proper evolution, the Purifiers would sterilize entire star clusters to prevent contamination. Marcus Rodriguez stood at the center of the laboratory. His consciousness expanded to encompass not just the enhanced humans on Earth, but every thinking being in the solar system. Through the collective link, He could feel the terror of the alien crews still stranded at the system's edge. He could sense the cold, calculating minds of the purifiers as they analyzed their targets. "They're not here just for us," Marcus said, his voice carrying the weight of terrible understanding. "They're here to cleanse everything. Every human, every alien, every trace of life in this entire system." The lead purifier ship transmitted a message that reached every mind in the solar system simultaneously. It was not spoken in words, but imprinted directly onto consciousness itself. "Unauthorized use of architect technology detected. Contamination level, critical. Initiating total system sterilization. Estimated completion time, 73 minutes. High Arbiter Zenth, still, aboard his flagship at the system's edge, felt the purifier message like ice water in his veins. His species had legends about the purifiers, stories told to children about the dark times when entire civilizations vanished overnight. "All ships," he transmitted to the scattered Galactic Council fleet. "Emergency hyperspace jump to home systems. We cannot fight these things." But when the alien ships tried to activate their faster-than-light drives, nothing happened. The purifiers had created a quantum lock around the entire solar system. Nothing could enter or leave until their work was finished. "Sir," Captain Vex High transmitted to Zenth, "our drives are offline. We're trapped here with the humans." The irony was not lost on any of them. They had come to destroy humanity, and now they would die alongside them. Dr. Sarah Chen felt the weight of approaching doom settle over her like a heavy blanket. "Marcus, can you stop them?" Marcus opened his eyes and looked at her with an expression that held depth she could barely comprehend. "Stop them?" "Sarah, the purifiers were created by beings who could reshape galaxies with a thought. They're not just advanced technology. They're weapons designed specifically to destroy anyone who reaches our level of power. So we're all going to die?" Marcus was quiet for a long moment, his consciousness reaching out to touch the minds of his fellow enhanced humans around the world. Through their collective link, they were processing information at a rate that would have burned out normal human brains in seconds. "Not die," he said finally. "Transform." What the enhanced humans had discovered in the deepest layers of the Architect database was the truth about the purifiers. They were not separate from Architect technology. They were part of it. The final test. The ultimate challenge that any species had to face before achieving true transcendence. The architects had not disappeared. They had evolved beyond physical form, becoming beings of pure consciousness that existed in dimensions beyond normal space-time. The purifiers were their gift and their judgment, ensuring that only species ready for such power would be allowed to ascend. The neural interfaces were never the end goal, Marcus explained as the purifier ships moved closer to Earth. They were just the first step. The real test is whether we can face total annihilation and choose to become something greater than destroyers. The enhanced humans reached out with their collective consciousness, not to fight the purifiers, but to understand them. What they found was both terrifying and beautiful. The purifiers were not evil. They were necessary. They existed to prevent young species from gaining power they couldn't handle and using it to destroy the universe. But they also contained within their programming the possibility of transcendence. If a species could prove that they were ready for true architect-level power, the purifiers would not destroy them. They would elevate them. The test began as the first purifier ship entered Earth's atmosphere. The weapon it deployed was not a bomb or an energy beam. It was something far more terrible. A reality virus that began unmaking the quantum structure of matter itself. Where it touched, atoms simply ceased to exist. Mountains dissolved into nothingness. Oceans evaporated into quantum foam. The virus spread across Earth's surface like a wave of absolute destruction. Normal humans would have panicked, fled, or tried to fight. The enhanced humans did something different. They reached out and embraced the destruction, allowing it to touch their consciousness directly. And in that moment of contact, they understood. The reality virus was not trying to destroy them. It was trying to free them from the limitations of physical form. The architects had long ago realized that biological bodies were prisons that prevented consciousness from reaching its full potential. The purifiers were offering the final transformation. Evolution from physical beings into something that existed in the quantum foam itself. Marcus felt the virus reach him in the underground facility. Instead of resisting, he opened his mind to it completely. The sensation was like diving into an ocean of pure possibility. His body began to dissolve, but his consciousness expanded, beyond anything he had imagined possible. Dr. Sarah Chen watched in amazement as Marcus began to glow with the same light as the reality virus. But he was not being destroyed. He was being transformed into something made of living energy, a being that could exist anywhere in the universe without needing a physical form. Sarah, Marcus's voice came from everywhere at once. This is what the architects wanted. Not to destroy life, but to free it from the limits of matter and energy. We're not dying. We're being born. One by one, the enhanced humans around the world made the same choice. They stopped fighting the reality virus and allowed themselves to be transformed. As they did, something incredible happened. The virus began to change, becoming not an agent of destruction, but an agent of creation. Where cities had been unmade, new forms of matter began to appear, substances that could support life in ways that normal matter never could. Where oceans had evaporated, seas of liquid light took their place, teeming with patterns that were the equivalent of living creatures, but made of pure energy. Earth was not being destroyed, it was being reborn as something beyond the physical universe. The alien crews watching from their trapped ships saw their instruments go wild as the planet below them transformed into something their sensors couldn't even classify. It was still there, still solid, but it now existed in multiple dimensions, simultaneously. High Arbiter Zenth received a transmission from the transformed Marcus Rodriguez. This is humanity's gift to the galaxy. We have passed the final test. We have become what the architects were meant to create, beings who can reshape reality not through force, but through understanding. The purifier ships began to change as well. Their dark, threatening forms dissolved and reformed into crystalline structures of impossible beauty. They were no longer weapons of destruction but gardeners of transcendence, ready to help other species when they were ready for the same transformation. The choice is now yours, the collective human consciousness transmitted to every alien ship. Return to your worlds and continue your evolution naturally. When your species are ready, the test will come to you as well, or stay here and learn from us. We will teach you what we have learned, but we will not force it upon you. Captain Vexhai was the first to make her choice. Her ship moved closer to the transformed Earth, its crew eager to learn from beings who had achieved something that had seemed impossible. High Arbiter Zenth chose differently. His ship and several others activated their now functioning hyperspace drives and fled back to their home systems, carrying word of what they had witnessed. Dr. Sarah Chen found herself facing the same choice that Marcus and the others had made. The reality virus had reached the underground facility, offering her the chance to transcend physical form and join the collective human consciousness. She could remain as she was, a normal human on a transformed world, or she could evolve into something beyond imagination. Sarah looked around the laboratory one last time, thinking of all the discoveries that had led to this moment. The crashed, alien ship in the desert seemed like a lifetime ago. Now she understood that it had not been an accident. It had been an invitation.